Hello, everyone. We are live. Welcome to another episode of the live chat. It is so good to be back here on YouTube. It's great to see everyone. Hello to everyone that's jumping into the stream right now. The live chat is back, coming in on a Friday for you. So, good to see everyone. Been about a week, I think a little bit over a week since our last episode of the live chat. For anyone that's jumping into the stream for the first time, basically the way this works, we break down the biggest news in the video game industry, a lot of it focusing on sales and business because that's kind of my specialty, but we talk about video games here in general. So if you have any comments, if you have any questions that you want answered, that you want to discuss, that you want to break down, make sure you drop those into chat. I'm going through chat, I'm pulling out your comments and questions, and we're breaking it down as a community. So make sure you drop those. It's good to see everyone again. Like I said, in terms of housekeeping notes, not a whole lot. One thing that is pretty cool, this will be the last stream probably before I hit my 2-year anniversary of starting this whole thing on Twitter. We haven't hit the 2-year anniversary yet on YouTube. I started my YouTube channel later than my Twitter, but September 8th, that's going to be 2 years that I started covering the video game industry. So that's pretty exciting. Just, what is it, the 4th now? So 4 days away. Pretty cool that we're already coming up on 2 years of doing this. It feels like in some ways I've been doing this for a long time, and then in other ways it feels like I just started. So pretty cool that we've got that anniversary coming up. I don't think there's any other real big housekeeping notes other than that. Really quick before I start diving into your comments, some of the things that we can break down today. Nintendo announced Super Mario 3D All-Stars. We'd been waiting for seemingly a very long time to find out when Nintendo was going to make this announcement. There had been rumors for quite a while now that there was Mario ports on the way. They finally made that official. It's called Super Mario 3D All-Stars. It includes Mario 64, Super Mario Sunshine, and Mario Galaxy 1 for $60. Now, there are some games missing out of this package. I think some of us expected. I thought we would probably get Mario Galaxy 1 and Mario Galaxy 2, but it's just the first game. But it is with enhanced resolution, and they've said they've optimized the gameplay to work well on Switch. So that's going to be pretty big. We can break down what that means for Nintendo, what it means in terms of how is the game's going to sell, how is it going to impact hardware. Another thing we can talk about is Marvel's Avengers. That just launched officially today. Of course, the deluxe edition had early access, and that's been out since earlier in the week. But we can talk about what are we expecting for sales there. Is it going to be huge? Is it going to not? So we can break down all of that. NVIDIA announced a whole bunch of new graphics cards that are pretty crazy. I've seen a lot of discussion around how is this going to impact consoles, anything like that. So yeah, that's just a few of the topics, but we can talk about anything that you want. So make sure you drop those comments and questions down into chat. I hit as many free ones as possible. And then of course, if you want to ensure that your question gets answered, all you have to do is put in a super chat. I hit super chats as soon as they pop up. No one feel obligated to donate in chat, but that is one way to guarantee no matter what, I will get to your question. All right, and we do have a super chat right off the bat, so I'm going to get to that one first. It's actually just a comment. Ralph Muster saying, good to see you, mate. Good to see you too, Ralph. Thank you for the super chat off of the top. Thank you so much. All right, let's start hitting your questions. Costas here, right off the bat. Hi, do you expect Avengers to become the best-selling Square Enix game? This is a very, very interesting question, Costas. So, here's what I can say off the top. Right now, kind of what I'm expecting for that first sales/shipment update that we're going to get from Square Enix, whenever that ends up being that PR comes out. My guess, and this is just, my prediction, I think it's going to be somewhere between 4 and 5 million units shipped in its first week. That sounds like a big number. and it is a big number, but Avengers is a huge IP. I'm seeing a ton of chatter online about it, and an important thing to remember is that a game like Avengers hits well outside of the hardcore gaming community, right? If you look at something like Call of Duty, yeah, there's a lot of chatter about Call of Duty online, but not to the degree, let's say, of certain other games that don't sell near as well as Call of Duty does, right? I don't actually see like tons and tons and tons of people talking about Modern Warfare 2019, for example, and yet we know that game's already sold over 30 million units in less than a year. I'm not expecting Avengers to hit 30 million units, but what I mean is Avengers hits a lot of demographics that aren't online talking about video games, right? It's just one of those big IPs. It has universal appeal across the board. So I think 4 to 5 million units shipped in its first week is definitely doable. The beta had over 6 million players, and it was the biggest beta in PlayStation history, Square Enix announced. So those are some big numbers. Those are some very big numbers. Shows a lot of interest. Now, online, you're seeing an interesting scenario play out. You're seeing a lot of people say Avengers is way better than they expected it to be, but then you're also seeing a vocal section that is hardcore not liking it. For example, VGC just gave the game a 2 out of 5 stars. It's interesting because this game is incredibly polarizing. You have really good, really trustworthy publications like Game Informer giving it an 8.75, and then you have other really good publications like VGC giving it what essentially is a 4 out of 10. I mean, that's a giant range, right? We're talking completely contrasting scores, not even close to each other. So I think it really depends what kind of game you're looking at in terms of if this is a good game or not. It's going to be all across the board scores. You're going to see really high scores and you're going to see really low scores, both from critics and from people. So do I think it's going to be their best-selling game ever for Square Enix? You know, I don't know because I have no idea how legs for Avengers is going to be, right? I just literally have no idea. I don't know if this game's going to have awesome legs. I don't know if it's going to have a huge launch and then just completely fall off. It's hard for me to say, but what I can say, Kostas, is I am expecting a very big launch. Like I said, 4 to 5 million units shipped. I'm not saying sell through, but shipped in its first week would not surprise me at all. I could very much see that kind of a number, and that's a huge number. So then the question after that is just how are legs? And like I said, I think it's a little too early. I don't think we have any idea how this game's going to be selling, let's say 6 months from now. But launch should be very big. Forzathon. Hey Benji, how are you doing? I'm really disappointed in how Nintendo are handling the Mario remakes. What are your thoughts? So yeah, couple things here. First of all, in terms of, let's say like what I was expecting to be in the package, I actually agree, Forzathon, that I am a bit disappointed. I was expecting more, right? I thought we would get Galaxy 1 and 2 in this. And we just have Galaxy 1. That's really the big missing thing here for me, is that Galaxy 2 isn't part of this package. I find that pretty disappointing. Just because I feel like if you're going to do Galaxy 1, you would do Galaxy 2 along with it. So that for me, in terms of like what's included in the package, is the big miss. I mean, Mario 64, Galaxy 1, and Sunshine being in there is awesome, right? It's really cool to see 3 of those games in there, but I would have really liked to see Galaxy 2 in there as well. And also, I was hoping, you know, when these rumors first started, that maybe they were going to be a little bit more impressive of enhancements than what we're getting. We're basically just getting higher resolution without any change to the actual assets at all. When the rumors first came out, I was hoping these might be a little bit more remakes than just a resolution increase. But, you know, I am expecting this to be a gigantic seller. I just tweeted out recently, you know, it's #1 on Amazon in like tons of countries, the US, the UK, Japan. It's lighting up the sales charts. I think it's really weird that this game is going to stop being sold in March. I find that very strange. I mean, very strange. I don't think it's weird that the physical is going to be limited, right? Because we see limited physical launches all the time. Like, this isn't something that's super uncommon to see, that for a limited time only get this physical package, but digital being limited till only March, we're not even talking a year on sale. That is just strange to me. It is a bizarre decision. I find that very, very weird. So I would say that there's some good here and some bad in terms of how I believe Nintendo's handling it. But in terms of sales, make no doubt, this game is going to be a gigantic seller. It's going to be huge. We just had a super chat drop. Let me hit that super chat really quick. Killian Butler, thank you so much for the super chat, saying, hey Benji, just doing the live chat now. Hope you and everyone else are doing okay. I'm doing great, Killian, doing really, really good. Thank you for the super chat. Thanks for jumping into the live chat. It's good to see you, Killian. You're a regular here. Great to see you, and thank you so much for the super chat. You haven't missed much. We've only been going for about 10 minutes, so just a couple questions. Elias Stapleton. Demon-Sales, Ratchet and Clank, yes, now confirmed to be a launch window game for the PlayStation 5. Sackboy possibly, Returnal possibly, Horizon Zero Dawn 2, Spider-Man Miles Morales, all of those in PS5's first year. Thoughts? Yeah, it's a very impressive first year launch lineup. If we're talking the first 12 months, I've seen some people... I find this a very, very weird talking point, if I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. I see online quite a few people saying, oh, PlayStation and Xbox haven't given you any reason to jump in early. Like, I've seen a lot of this. I don't think that's the case on PlayStation 5, at all. I think that's actually, kind of a crazy statement to make, if I'm being honest with you. If we're talking the first 12 months. I get if you're saying launch day, hey, I'm not in a rush to come in on day one of launch for PlayStation 5. That I can kind of see. But people that are making it out like the PlayStation's first year is weak is actually unbelievably off. In the first 12 months, you're talking, like you said, Demon-Sales, Ratchet and Clank, basically everything that they showed in that first PlayStation conference, from what is reported and what I've been hearing as well, is basically targeting that first year. So Gran Turismo, Horizon Zero Dawn, we know is targeting 2021. That first 12 months is excellent. I mean, it's a great lineup for your first year. I mean, we're talking Sony could be putting out 5 to 6 exclusives in the first year. That is incredibly impressive. Like that isn't something that you see every generation. So I think that point that I see pop up is weird. Like I said, I definitely get if you're saying launch day, hey, I don't want to go out and spend $500 to $600, whatever these are going to cost day one. I need a little bit more there for me. That I get. But the people that say the first year looks weak, that is just not even remotely accurate. Not even kind of accurate. If all those games make those first 12 months, that's a stellar first year for exclusives. So yeah, I think they've got a lot coming. It looks really, really good for them. All right. We have another super chat. Let me hit that super chat up. Thank you so much. JCat, thank you so much for the super chat. No comment or question here. Just a nice, cute little sticker. Thank you so much, JCat. Thanks for always being a part of these chats, really since the very early days. Thank you so much, JCat. It's great to see you. And then we have another super chat drop in here. Thank you so much. Kevin Kanye here. Hope all is well. I'm doing well, Kevin. I hope you're doing good as well. What's up with Switch stock? Haven't seen an OG on the shelves in New York City region since early March. Yes, so Switch is still facing shortages. Still. I know that sounds kind of crazy, but we are still in a situation where Nintendo cannot completely fulfill the demand on stock. We've seen Switch all year, basically worldwide, sell unbelievable. If you look at Japan, if you look at the United States, if you look at even Europe, which isn't traditionally, mainland Europe, isn't traditionally Nintendo's strongest region compared to somewhere like North America and the US, for example. But even in Europe, they're doing great. So yeah, they're just on fire. And they were doing holiday type numbers in the springtime. Here's what I can say, Kevin. stock is like improving from whenever it was at its worst. There was a segment there where like Switch wasn't on shelves ever, like period. It was like you had to be there within minutes of a store getting stock or it was gone, especially in the United States. You know, Europe might be a little bit of a different scenario, but definitely in Japan and in the US it was like this. I can say the US is improving, but we're still not in a scenario yet where it's like Switch is like quote quote overstocked. And I don't mean overstocked in a bad way. What I mean is that basically at all times there's Switches on shelves. You know, you can go into any store and pick one up. We're not there yet. There are still shortages. So it's looking like, Kevin, that this is going to be the best year ever for Switch. I fully expect that. It's on pace to have its best year ever. So we're looking at the peak year right now. So really pretty incredible numbers. So, you know, I know it's a bummer for people that are trying to get a hold of Switches right now because, like you said, that there's often times that shelves are empty. But it's good for Nintendo, right? That's a good scenario to be in whenever you're selling through everything you can ship. They're in a great spot. Another super chat. Thank you so much for all these super chats, everyone. It means the world to me. Right now, all these super chats that are coming in, I have them like in a separate thing. I am not spending a single dollar out of these super chats. You're all helping me get prepared for next gen. So thank you. It's actually going to help with my games coverage a lot because this is all going into a pool. I haven't any super chat I've gotten yet since the channel started. I haven't even spent $1 out of it. It's all getting saved up for next gen, so that way I can cover games, you know, as accurately as possible. I'm trying to get a PlayStation and an Xbox at launch, so that way I know what I'm talking about. So thank you, everyone. This is all helping make that possible, so thank you so much. And Kay saying, hey Benji, because of COVID, I think Nintendo's output will be way bigger in 2021. Your thoughts? Greetings from Germany to everyone here in the chat. Thank you, Kay. Greetings to Germany. I love seeing, you know, I always say it, but I love seeing people from all over the world in these chats. It's literally so cool that we can all connect like this. You know, we kind of take for granted how impressive technology is nowadays, but you're in Germany, I'm here in the Midwest of the US, and we can chat. Yes, in terms of your question, I think 2021 is going to be a lot more impressive for Nintendo's output. You know, one of the early rumors that happened back when COVID and work from home really first popped up, this came from Jeff Grubb, if I'm remembering right, you know, who I shout out all the time on the channel because Jeff Grubb is really one of the best in the business in terms of having that inside info, in terms of doing his research to report accurately. I'm a big fan of Jeff Grubb. So I believe it was him. If I'm misquoting, I apologize. But I believe Jeff Grubb said earlier in the year that Nintendo particularly and Japan in general was struggling a little bit more in the transition to work from home than some like Western studios were. I guess just the way that, you know, development is set up and the way the workplace is set up. You know, Japan in particular was having a little bit more trouble than some Western studios. So I very well could see that being a scenario, K, where next year looks a lot more impressive than this year. You know, this year's had some nice releases. It's had Animal Crossing. It had Paper Mario Origami King. But we did see, you know, a lot of remasters and remakes this year, right? We're seeing Pikmin. We're seeing Xenoblade Definitive Edition, which is great, right? Super Mario 3D All-Stars. These are great games. This isn't me saying these aren't good games, but it is a lot of remakes. It's a lot of remasters. We're not seeing as many brand new, you know, big, huge built for the Switch projects from Nintendo this year. And I definitely think COVID is probably a part of that. I would say there's a very, very good chance that that's playing into it. So, Kay, I agree. I think 2021 is going to be a lot more impressive for their first party than this year was. Thank you again, everyone, for the super chats. Those are cleared out for now. So let me go back to some of the free questions. Let me grab a drink really quick. I'm drinking on some Body Armor today. Body Armor Light. Pretty good stuff. Pretty healthy, especially the light version. A lot less sugar. I'm a Body Armor fan. All right. All right. Forzathon here. Do you think Marvel's Metacritic Our Marvel's Avengers Metacritic is in the 60s. It currently sits at 71. Also, if it does, what does it mean for long-term legs? Yeah, so Avengers has been an interesting situation for reviews, right? So I had tweeted out when reviews first started coming in, they were looking really good, right? It was up in the 80s. At one point, it got up to 84 and was at a mighty on OpenCritic. So the early reviews, I was like, wow, this is looking like way better than what I expected. For anyone that follows me on Twitter, I had predicted like last week that I thought Avengers was going to score a low 70s Metacritic. That's what I had said. I was like, I could see low 70s, and I said I could even see it going lower. So when those first reviews came out, and it was over 80. Like I said, up to 84 at one point on OpenCritic, not Metacritic, but on OpenCritic it got that high. I was very surprised. I was like, wow, this is a full 10 points higher than what I was expecting, right? Like, that's a way better result than what I thought it was going to get. So I was impressed. I was like, wow, this is great. This will definitely be a good sign for legs if it's getting this high of reviews. But as more reviews have come in, that number is dropping. Now, Forzathon, do I think it goes down into the 60s? No, because there's too many publications that are pretty big that did really like it. Like I said, Game Informer gave it a good score. I'd have to go through and see some of the others, but there's a couple other big publications that gave it good scores. So I think 60s is unrealistic. I mean, you never know. It could happen, but I don't think so. But it could settle where my original prediction was, which was low 70s, which, like I said, for me, that's what I was predicting. So that's not the end of the world for it, especially for this type of game. You know, I had mentioned before that these types of games in general don't get that good of reviews. They really don't. There's a few that do. The Division 2 and Destiny 2 are both over 80 Metacritic. But if you look at a lot of them, Ghost Recon Wildlands, Anthem, Borderlands, you know, these are games that get 70s Metacritic or even lower sometimes. So these games as a service games just don't click with the mainstream media as much as they do with the general consumer. You know, this is just a fact, and that's not a bash on media, right? Media are, I mean, if you just look at scores, it's pretty clear to see what the media in general likes. They like single player, they like narrative focused story games. They particularly like third person over first person games. These are just the facts, and it's not a bash or, you know, Nintendo games. To be clear, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. In fact, those are basically some of my favorite types of games too. But what I just mean is a lot of these multiplayer focused games, it's pretty rare you see them score super high with critics, right? So I would say as long as it stays in the 70s, that's perfectly fine. If it does dip into the 60s, that's not a good sign. I would say 60s is pretty darn low. That kind of thing could affect legs, because at that point, if you're down into the 60s, you have to raise a question of, is that also going to be shown in regular players, not just critics? Because 60s for a AAA game is not a great score. 70s and Forzathon, I honestly don't think legs will be hurt by quote-quote scores at all. 80s would be excellent. But if it does slip into the 60s, yeah, that could be a very bad sign. That could be worrying. Because if you look at the ones that did score that low, like 60s and lower, Ghost Recon, Breakpoint, Anthem, they had terrible legs, right? Once you're scoring that low, then there is a legit shot that consumers aren't going to like it either. 70s, and I'm not worried about it, though. We have another super chat here. Kay with a second super chat. Thank you for the second super chat. Thank you so much, Kay. Breath of the Wild 2. World plus Bowser's Fury. 35th Anniversary Zelda Collection. Monster Hunter Switch. Bayonetta 3. Shin Megami Tensei 5. Metroid Trilogy, and more. Yes, I believe in Monster Hunter. So Kay, expanding on what they're expecting for next year for Switch. Yeah, next year is going to be way more impressive. Now, I don't know that next year we'll have an individual game sell as big as Nintendo had this year, right? If you look at Animal Crossing, I mean, that is like the most mind-blowing performance I've like ever seen for an exclusive game. Like seriously, probably ever. I don't think there's a single exclusive game for any system ever that I've seen be as impressive as Animal Crossing. So I don't know if they have a game next year that hits that big, but as a whole, right? If you look at the collection of games, yeah, 2021 to me looks like it's going to be a way better year. I don't know if every game that you mentioned there, Kay, will make it or not. I suspect, though, that many will, especially like Breath of the Wild 2. I definitely think that's next year. Monster Hunter Switch could be there. I definitely think Bayonetta 3. I don't know if Metroid will, because we haven't seen anything really out of Bayonetta or Metroid in a very, very long time. But I think Bayonetta is probably closer than Metroid. So yeah, no matter what, 2021 as a whole definitely looks better. And then Plastic Hearts with a super chat. Thank you so much. Plastic Hearts Podcast. Thank you. What's up, Benji? When that Patreon podcast dropping, my dude, we all have at least $5 to $10 burning a hole in our pockets. So yeah, let me touch on this really quick. I am considering a Patreon at some point, but the main reason I haven't done a Patreon yet is I feel like if I do a Patreon, I want it to be worth people investing in, right? Like right now, the only way I make money off of what I do is donations here in the super chat, and then I have a Ko-fi or Ko-fi, I don't remember how to pronounce it. I have one of those as well where people can donate. Right now I do it purely donations because that is your choice, right? You just throw whatever amount you want. It can be $1, it can be 50 cents, it can be whatever you want, right? There's no pressure, there's no obligations on either side. If I do a Patreon, that's something where you're committing to put in money every month. I want to make sure it's worth it for you, right? I don't want to just throw a Patreon up there and get a quick cash grab. I want it to be worth it. So Plastic Hearts, I very well may set up a Patreon at some point. There might be a podcast involved, something like that. But I have to make sure that it's worth it before I do the Patreon. So I will let you know, now that we're hitting on 2 years of me doing games coverage, I am thinking it's probably close to time that I might set up the Patreon. A podcast would be cool. I would want, let me talk to some people. I have some ideas. I have a lot of video game industry contacts. I mean, tons. If you look at my Twitter, a huge chunk of my Twitter followers are video game developers and publishers. I've been thinking it'd be cool to run a series where I do interviews. I'd have to talk to more devs and see what all they're comfortable with, but I have thought about that. Maybe doing a weekly or twice a month podcast where it's me sitting down with a developer, someone from PlayStation or Xbox, talking to them. I think that would be cool. So something like that I'm exploring. I will let you know though. If I do the Patreon, there will be some cool stuff with it. But thanks for the question. All right, let's get up to some more free questions. Here's an interesting one from Elias. PlayStation didn't announce something new since 2 to 3 years ago, besides the PlayStation 5 event. Now Xbox spent all their bullets releasing their last games for this gen in the last few months. For example, Battletoads just came out, Flight Simulator just came out. Tell Me Why is a game they've published. There's a whole bunch. I get what Elias is saying here. And now they have nothing in their first year. Is that a mistake? Elias, this is a very interesting question. This is very interesting, to be honest with you. I am a bit worried about Xbox's lineup for that first year. I'll just be transparent. I had, I've mentioned it on this show before. I've mentioned it on my Twitter. I thought that Microsoft had a very good chance. I wasn't locking it in, but a very good chance of taking back the U.S. market, right? The Xbox is still very competitive with PlayStation in the United States. In other regions, not so much. But in the United States, they're not behind by much at all. Like, it's a pretty, if you're talking about a generational difference, it's not that much. So I thought if Microsoft has a strong lineup, they have a lot of support in the United States, they could take back the US market. But that first year right now, I'm hoping that they have some stuff in that first year that we just don't realize is the first year yet. Maybe something like Forza makes it by next holiday. But right now, it does look like that first year might be pretty low. It might be a lot of enhanced versions of stuff we already have, like Gears 5 and Gears Tactics and, Sea of Thieves and Grounded. We know like all these games are getting next gen enhancements, and that's cool. That's awesome, especially if you have Game Pass. But in terms of like system selling brand new exclusives, it does look worrying. I am a little bit worried about that, Elias. So, whether it's a mistake or not, who knows? It's so hard to tell. These consoles aren't even out yet, so it's hard to gauge exactly how things are going to shake out. But I will say, Elias, I'm a little worried about it. PlayStation looks to have a way stronger first year than Xbox. They just really do. All right, it looks like we had 2 super chats drop. Let me hit those really quick. Thank you so much for the super chats. Franklin Clinton 98 dropping a super chat. Thank you, Franklin. Does a game winning awards like Game of the Year induce a significant boost in sales like an Oscar for a film, or do the general public not care about that stuff? Franklin, it does, especially if it's a lot of Game of the Years. It definitely does. I've seen it directly correlated before that a lot of the times those Game of the Year winning games. Let's look at Witcher 3, for example, that got a ton of Game of the Year support. Let's look at something like Overwatch that got a lot of Game of the Year awards. It definitely does transfer into sales. Now, I will say, it's not necessarily one of those things that if you get Game of the Year, it's just instant, wow, your sales are going to double or something like that. But there's no doubt, like I said, especially when it's widespread. If you're winning a lot of Game of the Years, there's no doubt about it, Franklin. Yes, I have seen a correlation with that. If you look at, for example, Sekiro, which won the Game of the Year award last year at the Game Awards, we just got a sales update for that. That's doing fantastic. That's, if I remember right, over 5 million sales now, right? Let me double check that, but I think it's over 5 million. I just want to make sure I'm giving correct information here. Yeah, so by July, it was already over 5 million units, and that was a brand new IP and a pretty hardcore game for Sekiro, right? I think getting Game of the Year definitely helped that get over 5 million units. So yes, Franklin, it's a good thing without a doubt. I wouldn't say Game of the Year guarantees you're going to sell 10, 20 million units, but it definitely helps your sales, yes. JCat, thank you so much for a second super chat. Thank you so much, JCat. Horizon Zero Dawn sold 10 million on PlayStation 4. Estimated Steam sales are currently over 500,000. Could we see 5 million on Steam in a year or two, or is that too optimistic? Ooh, this is a good question, JCat. This is a very good question. So here's what I'll say. I definitely think the quality of the port didn't help Horizon. I really don't think so. The PC community in particular, a lot of times when we talk about sales, we talk about that average consumer, right? That person that's not as clued in as your hardcore gamer. PC is very clued in. I will give the PC community big props. They are very dedicated, very hardcore. A lot of times when games have bad ports or bad versions, the PC community is very vocal about it. You see less in terms of just like, I don't like to use the word casual because that kind of paints someone as like, to some people it sounds like a lesser gamer. I don't mean that at all. But you see more, I like to use the term broad, right? Because it just means you're covering a lot of people, a broad demographic. You see a lot more of that on console than you see on PC. PC people are very dedicated. They're very invested. They do a lot of user reviews. If you look at like Steam user reviews, for example, they get tons of ratings on there. So I do think that the quality, the Horizon Zero Dawn port just wasn't necessarily up to par. I think that did affect it, especially early on in sales. 5 million seems pretty big. I do think it's going to be a multi-million unit seller, JCat. I easily could see 2 to 3 million. I'm not going to go as high as 5 million yet. If we see it keep charting continuously on Steam, right? If we're looking, a year from now and it's still popping up on the best sellers list, I'll change my mind. But right now, JCat, I'm going to say more like probably 2 or 3 million on Steam I could see. But you never know. A lot of games sell a lot once they go cheap on Steam. So once it gets down to like $10 or less, it could see some really big sales boosts. That is totally possible. All right. Let's hit some more free questions really quick. How long have we been going? Only a half hour. Oh, we got time. We got time. Thanks, everyone, for being in the chat. Here we go. One from Alex Castellanos. I hope I'm saying that right. Benji, if you haven't already said, what is your experience with the 3 titles included in the Super Mario 3D All-Star package? How does that affect your anticipation of it? So, Alex, I played Super Mario 64, played it actually back in the day on 64. I don't think I've played it since. I'm trying to think here. Yeah, I don't think so. So really, it's just that old school experience with Mario 64. I do not believe I have played that game since. Super Mario Sunshine I've never played at all. I've never played Mario Sunshine. And I've only played Mario Galaxy 1 also back when it very first launched on the Wii. I never even played Galaxy 2. So that's why I was really hoping Galaxy 2 was in this package. And it's not, which is a huge bummer. So yeah, Alex, I'm really excited for it because like I said, Mario Sunshine I've never played. Mario 64 I've only played a very long time ago. So it is exciting to play this in enhanced resolution. I'm sure the frame rates and everything will probably, hopefully, be really solid here. So Alex, I'm really excited for it. If you're someone that probably plays these games semi-often, you might be less excited, right? Like let's say you're a Nintendo gamer who has Mario 64 and you know Galaxy and you've just replayed these recently. There's not a ton new here in this package besides just the resolution being better. So that may affect it. But I think a lot of people are going to be playing these games for the very first time. Especially I'd say something like Mario Sunshine. I could see that being a lot of people's first time playing that game. So I think people's excitement levels are just going to vary depending on their familiarity with them. But for me, Alex, I am pretty excited. I'm very excited, actually. Super chat here just popped. I think it's from Timur. Timur, hello. Great to see you, Timur. Great to see you. Always in the chat, always active on Twitter. Hi, Benji. A bit controversial, but what are your thoughts on hostile takeovers in the gaming industry? Yeah, not sure if you've been asked this before. Timur, I actually have not. And let me tell you, Timur, I am not a fan. I am not a fan of hostile takeovers. You know, this was just almost happening between Ubisoft and Vivendi, right? Am I remembering that right? Pretty sure it was Vivendi that was trying to buy them. Yes. I'm not a fan of it, Timur, because you risk losing talent. And with something like video games, which let's be honest, is a creative medium, right? There's a lot of creativity in the gaming space. A lot of industries in general have creatives involved, but video games particularly, you're talking about music, you're talking about art, you're talking about, you know, so much artistry goes into games that a hostile takeover, you know, really risks losing some of that talent. There is a very legitimate risk of that. If you hostile take over a company that did not want to be acquired, all of a sudden they feel like changes are being forced on them, you have a very real shot of those developers just leaving and going to another studio that they feel more comfortable with. So Timur, in this space in particular, I get that in business, hostile takeovers happen. It is a thing that can happen even in gaming. Like I said, Vivendi almost did it with Ubisoft. But I just don't like it because what really makes video game companies so valuable is the talent involved. The people that have built these games, that have made this art, that has made this music. I think it just works way better if the company wants to be acquired, because then you are working together. I just think it's too much of a risk Too much of a risk that devs just flee and go somewhere else. They're like, you know what? I don't want to be part of this. I did not want to work for this company. You know, I was working for the company that I wanted to work for, and now someone else is coming over me. So, yeah, too risky. Too risky in my opinion. Not a fan. And then we have Franklin Clinton here with a second super chat, I believe. Thank you so much, Franklin. Thank you so much. How insane, yeah, this is a fun question. How insane is the success of Fall Guys? That game's profit numbers must be insane. Do you expect we'll see more games launching on PlayStation Plus in the future? So Franklin, Fall Guys is just unbelievable, borderline unprecedented. I mean, it's very rare you see something like this. It's very rare. In fact, in some ways, now, to be clear here, I'm not saying Fall Guys is a bigger success than Fortnite, but what I mean, let me explain what I'm going to say here. In some ways, Fall Guys' insane success is almost as impressive as Fortnite to me, because Fortnite came from Epic. It came from a gigantic developer. They make the Unreal Engine. They make Gears of War. They made Unreal Tournament. I mean, we're talking a gigantic developer put out Fortnite. Fall Guys was developed by 30 people. Their peak, now I'm sure it's going up now after this giant success, but their peak, it's a small team. It was made by 30 people. It was published by Devolver, an indie label, not even like a big AAA publisher, an indie label, and it's become a juggernaut. So yeah, I mean, Fall Guys is literally one of the most impressive performances of this entire generation. There's no doubt. It is one of the most impressive. I sent out a tweet, Franklin, that said, this is going to be the most profitable game that Devolver Digital has ever published, and they liked the tweet, which means Devolver is thinking the same thing I am. Devolver Digital's actual account came and liked my tweet about that. So that means they're very excited about the profit margins on this game as well. So yeah, Franklin, it's unbelievable. I don't think Fall Guys is going to fall off anytime quick. You know, Season 2 looks pretty cool. They're doing like a medieval theme. You can unlock medieval outfits and costumes. I think that's really fun. So I expect to see a huge boost in players again once Season 2 starts up. So yeah, Franklin, Fall Guys, just insane. And then as to your last part of your question, do you see more games launching on PlayStation Plus in the future? I think it's a smart idea if you are a really online multiplayer focused game. You know, we also saw this with Rocket League back towards, you know, the beginning of this generation. That launched on PlayStation Plus, and that went on to be a gigantic seller. Now, Fall Guys and Rocket League have the advantage of being really good games too, right? It's not just they launched on PlayStation Plus, but also they're very, very good. But I will say, Franklin, yeah, it's a good idea. If you're a smaller game, because Rocket League was also made by a small team early on. If you're a smaller game, if you're a multiplayer game, if you can work out a deal with Sony, I think PlayStation Plus is very, very beneficial. We've seen it now twice. We've seen 2 lightning strikes with Rocket League and now Fall Guys. So yes, Franklin, I think if you can work out a good deal, you know, keep in mind there's deals and negotiations involved with this, but if you can work out a good deal, yeah, I think it's very smart. Maybe not if you're a giant AAA game, right? But these level of titles, these Fall Guys, these Rocket Leagues, these games like this, yeah, day one on PlayStation Plus seems to be very beneficial. All right. Back to some free questions here. Let's see. Costas, will God of War 5 sell closer to Spider-Man 2 than God of War 2018 sold to Spider-Man 1 because of the better reviews? This is a fun question and interesting. Ooh. Will God of War 5 sell close? You know, Costas, I'm going to say... Oh, man. This is tough. I'm going to say no. You know, I'm really... Spider-Man is such a universal IP, and God of War is huge, right? God of War 2018 is over 10 million, probably way over 10 million now. We haven't gotten a sales update on God of War in quite a while. God of War 5 is going to launch bigger than God of War 2018. So it's going to be a juggernaut. But will it be as big as Spider-Man 2? I'm just going to say no. Spider-Man is universally attractive, right? Spider-Man, even outside of games, just in general, is one of the most recognizable characters in the world, right? People in the United States know exactly who Spider-Man is. People in Japan know who Spider-Man is. People in Germany, in France, in Korea. You know, you can go all over the place. Spider-Man is just one of the most recognizable characters in the world. God of War is huge in games and does have appeal outside of games, but not on that Spider-Man level. So I'm going to say I expect God of War 5 to be gigantic. This is not me, you know, bashing on God of War at all. In fact, God of War 2018 is one of my favorite games of all time. But I don't think it's going to, you know, come close to matching Spider-Man 2. I just don't see it. You know, Spider-Man 1 is probably either at 20 million sold or very close. You know, I don't think God of War is going to get to 20 million. That's pretty high. You never know, but I don't think it'll hit that high. Wild Stallion. So there's still no November, December game announcement for Nintendo. Yes, very weird. I thought that's what Mario was going to be. Seeing how Nintendo dropped Mario 3D All-Stars with a 2-week window, then when can Nintendo announce holiday games? Yeah, this is interesting. This is interesting. I'm very curious what their holiday game is or if they even have one. You know, Nintendo likes to have a huge November or December game. You know, Nintendo's one of those companies that's not afraid to drop a giant game in December. You see a lot of companies try to get out before that, you know, in October or November because they want to be there for those Black Friday sales. You know, I mean, you can just look at the calendar every year. No, October and November is usually way more stacked than December. Despite December being a giant month, you know, people want to get in before Black Friday shopping. But Nintendo's not. Nintendo will just drop huge games in December. We've seen it many, many times. So I would think that they want something there, but I don't know. You know, I don't know. It's possible, but I don't think they can wait till 2 weeks out on whatever that game is. If they have a big November, December game, I think they'll need to announce that a couple months out. I would expect we'll see that announced by October, I would think. But yeah, I thought Mario was going to be. I thought the Mario game was going to be that game, and no, that's September. So I'm very curious. Yeah, very curious. I think we just had a super chat drop. We did. Timur with his second super chat. Thank you so much, Timur. Diablo 4 sales expectations. Not sure if asked before. I have not. Diablo 3 sold over 30 million copies, yeah, by August 2015, and it's going to be way higher than that now. Do you think it will beat it? Ooh, this is tough, Timur. I love when y'all ask the tough questions because it really makes me think about it. Here's what I'll say. I definitely think Diablo 4 is going to launch bigger than Diablo 3. I think launch sales, there's almost no doubt in my mind that it's going to launch bigger. Will it be bigger than Diablo 3's total, which was 30 million in August 2015, and it's going to be way higher than that now? I'm going to say yes. I'm going to say yes. Yeah, I think it'll get over 30 million. Now, will it beat Diablo 3's total sales period? Because we haven't had the sales update on that now yet, right? Timur, that could be, who knows? I mean, this sounds huge, but it could be close to 40 million now. If that was, you know, our last update was 5 years ago, and keep in mind that game has kept selling on PC and kept selling on, it was ported to next-gen systems, right? It's on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. You know, keep in mind, I'm not saying it's at 40 million, but it could be getting close to that region. You know, I'm not going to commit to that, but what I will say, Timur, is yes, I think Diablo 4 will sell over 30 million. Yes, I think it will get there. I think it'll hit over 30 million. And then Forzathon with a super chat. Thank you so much, Forzathon. What's going on with Xbox Live Gold? It's a mess right now. The quality of titles is not up to par. Free games still require a sub, and now it's getting a 33% price hike in some countries for the 12-month subscriptions. Thoughts? Yeah. Here's the thing I've noticed, right? Microsoft's clearly spending so much money to make Game Pass worth it, right? You're seeing a lot of investment on that side. The Xbox Live Gold games have gotten a huge step down in quality lately. Now, there's still some nice stuff that gets added to that, but yeah, if you compare Xbox Live Gold right now, just the gold free games, to what PlayStation's been giving out with PlayStation Plus, there's a pretty huge gap, right? There's a pretty huge gap, especially over, I would say, the last like 6 to 12 months. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to say drop the games that come free with gold because that's removing a feature, but it's clear that that's not a focus for Microsoft now. It's clear that their investment has really gone over to Game Pass for that kind of stuff. So I would say if you're not subscribed to Game Pass, if you only are subscribed to Gold, I wouldn't expect those free games to really get much better going forward. I think it's going to be a lot of either really old games or like more indie style titles, which indies are great. But what I mean is I wouldn't expect a lot of AAA games hitting pretty quickly for the free games with Gold. Doesn't look like it. I do think that it's pretty crazy that they're still requiring Xbox Live Gold for free games. I think that's crazy. If you look, Rocket League is going to be free on PlayStation. You don't need PlayStation Plus to play it. All across the board. PC, it's already, of course, free. I think having to pay for gold for free games is not good because the competition's not doing it. So I don't like that. Yeah, I don't like that at all. Let me hit some questions from people I have not hit yet. Silence PP7. What do you make of the Prince of Persia remake leak, and do you expect it to be a remake of the 2008 game? According to Jason Schreier, it'll be shown next week at Ubisoft Forward. So yeah, I don't have any inside info on this game at all. I'm guessing it's a remake of, yes, that 2008 game. If it's successful, maybe they can remake the whole trilogy. I think it's good. It's good to see Prince of Persia back. I get why Ubisoft is cautious to make a brand new Prince of Persia, why they're going the remake route first, because Prince of Persia has been out of rotation for a while now. The last games weren't exactly giant sales success stories, right? That franchise has been kind of put on the back burner for a while. So I think coming out with a remake, that's probably not near as expensive as developing a brand new game from the ground up. It's not going to require that kind of investment. I think it's a good call. And if this sells really, really well, here's what I'll say. A lot of people have been begging for Prince of Persia forever, right? We've seen so many people, Prince of Persia and Splinter Cell. People saying, give me new Prince of Persia, give me new Splinter Cell. If you want more Prince of Persia and Splinter Cell, as long as this remake is good, you gotta go out and buy it. The quickest way to ensure you keep getting games in the franchises you love is to buy them. So if this is bad, don't buy it. I'm not telling people to run out and buy a bad game. But if this is a good remake, definitely buy it. That's going to send the clearest message to Ubisoft that people want more Prince of Persia. So yes, I think it's good. I think it's a good thing, Silence PP7, and a good strategy from Ubisoft. Ken B, the latest Madden is among the worst reviewed in series history. Do you think it will affect sales? No. Do you think it opens the door for another franchise to get NFL licensing? Can be. I'm saying no, and that might be surprising. But they just announced, I think it was Daniel Ahmed on Twitter, that Madden sales are up 20% year over year at launch. So they're up. Despite terrible reviews, it's selling better. Ken, I hate to say it, but sports games are just so locked in on selling massive amounts, that I don't think so. You know, a lot of the people that are hating on this game are still buying it, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but what I am saying is, like I just mentioned with Prince of Persia, if you want to send a message to companies, you know, like I said, I'm focused on sales, I'm focused on business. I love talking about games in general, but those are the things that I'm most clued in on. The number one way to send a message to a company is to buy or don't buy the game. So if you're gonna, and I'm not saying you're this person, Ken, I'm saying in general, if you're someone that is very upset with Madden, you want Madden to be a better game, do not complain about it online and still buy the game day one. That is not sending the message. Sending the message is not buying the game. So that would be my number one thing to tell people. That sends a clearer message than anything. Games you love that you want more of, buy. Games you don't love, don't buy. And Madden is selling better than it sold last year. So can be. I hate to say it, but the people that, you know, really are upset with Madden, they need to just not buy the game. That's going to be the only way you get change. I think a super chat just dropped. Let me hit that super chat. Franklin Clinton 98. I think this is your third one. Thank you so much, Franklin. 3 super chats. Thank you. You're always, I've noticed, you know, this stuff means a lot to me. I notice these people that keep dropping multiple super chats per chat. Franklin does this, JCat does this, Timor does this. I don't want anyone to feel obligated to do that sort of thing at all. But I just want to give a shout out to those people. Thank you. Seriously. The support, Kay, I think just dropped another one. Thank you. Means the world to me. Franklin Clinton 98. Do you think there's a real risk Google cancels the Stadia experiment in the near future? Ooh. Could happen. We barely hear about them these days, and next-gen consoles and new GPU power makes it even harder to justify. Franklin Clinton... Yeah, you know, I think there is a very real chance, yes. I think there's a very real chance Google Stadia doesn't exist 2 years from now. I'm not going to say that's a lock. I'm not going to say that's a for sure thing. Google is a massively powerful and ridiculously rich company. They can keep doing Stadia as long as they want. They have enough money that Stadia isn't going to bleed them dry. If they really feel that Stadia is the kind of thing that they really believe in and want to be a long-term thing, they can keep going as long as they want. But I don't think Stadia is making money. I don't see how Stadia can be making money, and I don't feel like Stadia is moving in a direction that it will be making money soon. I don't hear anything about Stadia, like anywhere. Yes, there's some people subscribe to it, but I'd love to know the numbers of people buying Stadia games. So this is a guess, Franklin, but yes, like you mentioned, with next-gen consoles coming, with insane graphics cards coming from NVIDIA, we haven't even touched on that in this chat yet. The offerings from NVIDIA are insanely impressive. Yeah, Franklin, if I had to guess, just as a prediction, I could see 2 years from now Stadia not existing. Yes, I could very well see 2 years from now there being no Stadia. Would not shock me at all. And then KH with a super chat. Thank you so much for, I believe, your third super chat. Will Ring Fit Adventure outsell Final Fantasy VII Remake? Oh, this is interesting. Final Fantasy VII Remake PS4 exclusive worldwide. I like this question, Kay, because these could not be more different games. What was Ring Fit's last total sales update? Let me pull this up really quick, because I don't remember the exact total it was at its last quarter. Let me see. So it's over 4 million worldwide, right? Yep, over 4 million. Yeah, 3.9 million. Yep, 4 million. Ooh. And Final Fantasy's over 5. but Ring Fit looks to have better legs. Okay, it could happen. It could happen. Ring Fit could outsell Final Fantasy VII Remake. It is possible. It is possible, yeah. Yeah, it's possible. If it's at 4 million and Final Fantasy VII Remake's at 5, and like I said, Ring Fit appears to have better legs. Yeah, I could see it, Kay. Yep, I actually do think so. If we're talking PS4 only, because keep in mind, Final Fantasy VII Remake is going to come to other platforms starting in April. Now, I don't know if it'll be on the dot in April, but the PlayStation exclusivity contract only runs until April 2021. Yeah, Kay, I think right now, if I had to make a bet on it, yes, Ring Fit, I think, will. Now, Final Fantasy VII sold faster, right? It hit 5 million way quicker than Ring Fit hit 4 million. But yeah, it just looks to have better legs. So I'm going to guess, again, this is only comparing PS4 to Switch, not going to count the other versions of the game that come later. I think so. Yeah, I think so. Another super chat. Holy cow at these super chats. Thank you, Timor. Thank you so much for another super chat. Y'all are amazing. With The Simpsons Hit and Run selling 7 million and The Simpsons game selling 9 million copies, both numbers are outdated, by the way. Why do you think there have not been a Simpsons game of that caliber? You know, this is a great question, Timor. This is a great question. You sometimes see weird things like this with licensed games where they sell really good and then you don't see anything for a very long time. That's a great question. I have no idea why you haven't seen a new Simpsons game in a long time. You know, maybe it has something to do with the licensing. Maybe it has to do with there's just not any studios that want to make a big Simpsons game right now. You know, just because the license is valuable, you also have to find a studio to make it. So it could be as simple as, it sounds weird, but it could be one of those things as simple as no teams are really interested in making Simpsons right now, despite that license being available. That is a possibility. It's tough to say. But yeah, with numbers like that, you know, Simpsons is, again, we talked earlier about Spider-Man, how Spider-Man's one of the biggest IPs in the world. Well, you know what? So is The Simpsons. I know the ratings nowadays for The Simpsons aren't at the level they were, you know, let's say for its peak. But The Simpsons is like one of the longest running shows in television history. It's known worldwide. Yeah, I'm surprised we haven't seen a big Simpsons game in a long time. You know, that is true. Another example would be SpongeBob. There wasn't any SpongeBob for a while, and we just found out that Battle for Bikini Bottom is performing excellent, right? We just found that out through the Embracer group. They just talked about how Battle for Bikini Bottom is doing very, very well for them, the remake of that. So I would like to see it, Timur. Yeah, I'm not a big Simpsons fan myself, but it's a big enough IP. Someone should do it. 2 more super chats dropping. Split and 89 saying, you know else who has legs? Benji. Thank you, Split End. Thank you. Thank you for the legs shout out. And then Forzathon. Oh no. Forzathon saying, do you think Elden Ring becomes one of those titles that doesn't get canceled but just doesn't release like deep down, or gets a big delay like The Last Guardian? Ooh, this is painful because y'all know I am hyped for Elden Ring. I am so excited for Elden Ring, and it is disappeared off of the planet. Not only have we not had a new trailer for Elden Ring in over a year, we haven't even had Elden Ring mentioned by From Software or anyone in a long time. That game just disappeared into the ether. For now, Forzathon, I am going to say Elden Ring will come out, but like I said, I have a feeling that something went wrong with Elden Ring's development. Things have just been too quiet. But keep in mind, that's not me saying that Elden Ring is going to come out and be a bad game. all kinds of games, including some of the best games ever, go through what is commonly called development hell. A prime example of this is The Last of Us. The Last of Us Part 1. Infamously, that game was in a lot of trouble at various points of development. It came together really at the end. Now, the core idea, of course, was always excellent and stuff, but that game had a lot of development issues. In fact, you could even mention another Naughty Dog game, Uncharted 4, that also had a ton of issues in development and turned out to be an amazing game. So I don't think that Elden Ring is gone, is MIA, is dead, is going to be a bad game, but I do believe it has gone through some form of development hell, which I also think isn't shocking considering that it's a totally different kind of game. Totally different. Apparently it's open world. It's not going to be the same style as Dark Souls was. There's reports that there's mounts, that you're going to be riding through this open world on mounts. I mean, it's a completely different change up than what they normally do. So I think them struggling with development of it's not surprising. But I do think it will get released, and I do think it's probably going to be awesome. But yeah, I think this game is not going to come out for quite a while. And then KH, sales expectations for Mario Kart Live. I have no idea on this one, by the way. I have no idea. I would say good, but nothing like Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. I mean, I don't think anyone's expecting those kinds of numbers, right? That's like unbelievable levels of numbers. So I'm not expecting anything like that, but good. I would say good. I would say, as a guess, I mean, I could see it doing somewhere in the 5 to 10 million range. That might sound high to some people. 10 million seems high for what it is. But I think it could definitely get to 5 million. I think it could do that. Right? Because this isn't a full scale like Mario Kart. So, yeah, I don't know. I think 5 million. I think that's possible with the IP brand. 10 million seems too big to me. 10 million, I don't think it'll get there. But you never know. I mean, Nintendo stuff sometimes just randomly breaks out and goes crazy. So, you know, who knows? Maybe I'm way off on that. All right, let me scroll down and hit some questions from the bottom because we're only going to go for about another, I would say, 10 minutes-ish. So I want to hit some questions from people that came in late. Benji just dropped a super chat. Thank you so much, Benji. My goodness at these super chats. Thank you so much. Hi, Benji. The French website Xboxygen is claiming that they heard today from retail sources that the PlayStation 5 will cost €599 and €499 the digital version. So $599, $499 in the US. Thoughts? I have no idea how reputable that site is or not. I saw this get posted. I'm going to be honest, those numbers wouldn't surprise me. That's not what I'm expecting. That's higher than I thought. Sorry, someone just added me. That distracted me. Yeah, that's higher than I expected, but I don't think that's impossible, to be honest. Put it this way. Everyone is so quiet about price. I am a little worried that price is going to be more than what we all think. You know, I feel like most of us have committed to being like, oh yeah, we're going to spend more for these consoles this gen, 500. And maybe behind the scenes, Sony and Microsoft are like, I wish I was 500. I'm getting a little worried about that. Benji, I don't know if this particular rumor has any legs or any traction or if there's anything reliable. It's a little higher than what I was expecting. I'm expecting PlayStation 5, the disc version, to be 500. I've said that openly, but I'm a little worried that something's going on where these consoles are more than what we thought, and that is really the reason everyone's so quiet. Everyone's talking about how, you know, oh, maybe everyone's so quiet because someone wants to undercut the other. Well, maybe it ain't about undercutting. Maybe no one wants to put how high the price tag is out. I'm not saying that, but it is a thought that has crossed my mind, that people are a little worried behind the scenes about how expensive these machines are. But I'm expecting 500. If it's 600, whoo! Oh boy, 600 bucks. Whoo. I'm going to answer Elias's question here because he added me. Saying Jeff now is saying multiple times that he's not going to rush anything according to the cutoff dates of the Game Awards. Yeah, I had a feeling this was going to happen. And then you say, I have the feeling Cyberpunk 2077 could not make the cutoff this year. Thoughts? Hope this gets answered. Yeah, I had a feeling they were going to push the date back for the Game Awards, specifically not just because of Cyberpunk, but because of Next Gen. You know, Next Gen's not going to come out until mid-November, probably. It sounds like Microsoft's going to be very early November on the Series X, and then PlayStation 5 probably mid-November. So if you're going to do a proper Game Awards that includes a new gen that's launching this year, you're going to have to push that cutoff date back because a lot of people are not going to get to play these next-gen games until very late, including reviewers. So yeah, Elias, I'm not surprised at all that he's talking about not rushing anything. I expected this for a while, considering we're in a next-gen launch year. I mean, if they would have kept the cutoff the way it typically was date-wise, there might not have been a single PlayStation 5 game eligible. That would be crazy in a PlayStation 5 year, because a lot of times the cutoff date for release is like in that November area. You can't cut off a next-gen launch without next-gen games being eligible for Game of the Year. I don't know if any of those games will be Game of the Year quality, but you at least need to make them eligible. I've had multiple people here asking me where's the tank top. Yes, no tank top in today's episode. I'll promise, I'll tell you what, for those missing the tanks, because I do wear a lot of tanks, the tank top will come back next chat. We'll say next chat will be tank top. I know tank tops kind of become almost my brand. You know, I should get Benji-Sales tank tops made. I should do that. I have zero merch. I should make, if somebody's a good graphic designer out there that's watching this or watches it at a later date, shoot me a cool logo idea. Maybe we'll get some Benji-Sales tank tops made. That would be fun, right? Let's do it. I might start exploring this. Maybe we can come up with a name, you know, for this chat. We don't really have a name for that, so let's do it. We'll come up with some kind of name. You know, I used to have an idea of doing a state of the industry podcast back whenever I was doing podcast ideas. That's what I was going to call it. Maybe we'll start calling the live chat the state of the industry live chat, and we can get some tank tops rocking. If anyone watches this that makes a cool logo idea, I like neon pink and neon bright blue, you know. I like that a lot. Here, let me give you something really quick. Check this out. Give me just a second. I'll get back to a couple questions before we call it. Here we go. Can you see this? There we go, like that blue and pink. I don't know if that's going to show up right. There we go. We'll go neon blue and pink. All right, let me get this back. Camera's all messed up. Hopefully you can see me now. Neon blue and pink. All right, we'll go for that, right? Someone get at me. Someone that's good. I have no idea what I'm doing. I don't know how to graphic design anything. All right. Let's hit 5 more minutes of game questions, and then I'm out. 5 more minutes of game questions, and then we bouncing out of the chat. Vertical 21. Witcher 3 launching on next gen. Another big sales boost coming. Yes, Vertical 21. Yes, we've seen Witcher become a giant brand. It was always a giant brand, but you know, with the success of the Netflix series, for example, we've seen it blow up even bigger. Yeah, I think it's going to be gigantic. Even on next gen, it sold over 30 million units. I definitely expect a sales boost coming. For anyone that missed it, it's a free upgrade for next gen enhancements for Witcher 3 if you already own it. It's going to have ray tracing implemented. It's going to have all kinds of goodness. So, yeah. Yep. I think it's going to definitely get a sales boost, Vertical 21, 100%. Let me pull out a couple more questions here. Couple more and then we're out. Red Dead series with a nice point out here saying Benji, Elden Ring was mentioned by From Software when they released Dark Souls sales numbers a while ago. Yep. Yeah, like I said, I don't think it's canceled or anything. I've seen some people, freaking out that Elden Ring is canceled. I don't think it's canceled. I still think it's in development. I still think it's going to come out. My hunch, though, is just it hit some development roadblocks, which isn't, again, shocking. I wouldn't panic about it. But considering we've gone now over a year without seeing anything, I do think it faced some development hurdles. But it's still going to come out. I definitely think so. All right, are we pretty much done? Here we go. We got one from Desmond96. I'm seeing a lot more buzz for Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. Yes. Compared to previous games. Yes. Is this down to Insomniac's pedigree since Spider-Man or PlayStation 5 hype? I think it's a couple things, Desmond96. I think it's a couple things here. I agree with you. Rift Apart buzz seems the highest I've ever seen for Ratchet and Clank. I think this is going to be the best-selling Ratchet and Clank game of all time. I really, truly think Rift Apart is going to be the best-selling Ratchet and Clank game ever. And there's a couple reasons. A, like you said, Insomniac's just name in general is higher now than it's ever been, right? After the massive success of Spider-Man, Insomniac's always been successful, always been a big developer, but they've hit like a new level of pedigree ever since Spider-Man. So A, that definitely helps. And then B, I think it's because in a lot of ways, Ratchet and Clank is like the most next-gen looking game that we've seen. It really has shown off some things you can't do on current gen. The PlayStation 5 SSD, the super fast loading, things like this. So I think the game in general just looks impressive. I think people are excited about it. And yes, I think it's going to be a huge success. All right, one more question. Let's hit one more and bounce out. Thank you everyone for making another amazing chat here. Thank you so much. I want to pull out one more. All right, here we go. I think the last one's going to be right here from Guillermo K. I hope I said that right. What I'm most surprised from Xbox is the silence about Series S. If this thing is out by the end of the year, they need to start talking about it. Otherwise, general public might be confused. I think it was already supposed to be announced. If you notice, Series S is on packaging all over the place, right? Video game controllers now have Series S in it. Game Pass pamphlets say Series S on it. That kind of stuff starts getting made quite a while back. So I think the plan was for Series S to be announced by now. But, we had that rumor from Jeff Grubb, who was doing the whole Summer Games mess. By the way, second shout out to Jeff Grubb of the chat. And he said originally that was like targeting August and then got delayed. So I think this was already supposed to be announced. It sounds like Guillermo, sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong, that they are finally going to reveal Series S this month. We should finally have an updated idea on it. But yes, it is shocking that they are announcing a brand new console this year and we're in September and they haven't revealed it. That is pretty shocking stuff. All right, everyone, we're going to call it right there. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much. Two things really quick. If you're not a subscriber, make sure that you subscribe to the channel. If the likes definitely help, so make sure you hit like on the video. It helps people discover the channel. So make sure you hit that like. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't. We do these chats once to twice a week. Thanks everyone for making an amazing chat. And then we're going to bounce out of here. Timmer dropping a super chat right at the end saying, keep up the great work. Thank you, Timmer. Timmer, you keep up the great work. Follow Timmer on Twitter if you want to see a whole bunch of interesting sales info and budget info. We're out of here. Peace out. Bye, everyone. And I will see you in the next stream. Peace. Wait. Someone's saying I missed a super chat. I missed a super chat. I was going to bounce. I missed a super chat. Tim, over another super chat. Favorite media franchise / brand? Batman, Mario, etc. Let me hit this really quick. Favorite brand. Ooh. I'm just going to say Marvel in general. I'm a Marvel fanboy. I'm going to say Marvel. Marvel. All right, I'm out. Peace. Marvel is my favorite. Bye. See you guys next chat. Peace. Thank you for all being amazing. Stay safe. Play some games. I'll see you on Twitter or I'll see you on YouTube. Bye. Love y'all.